Hello, this is Aaron Fay, and welcome to part one of my short series on everything you need to know about music. We're staring at a piano, but that doesn't matter today. We're just going to use a piano to illustrate our points of topic. You could be playing a guitar, ukulele, or flute, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you if you're starting out or even an intermediate player, and you want to know a little bit more about music theory and what makes progressions and chords and stuff work, then this course is designed for you. There are a few veterans out there that might get a thing or two from this, but a couple caveats with that. I am not a musical expert. I am just a aspiring musician, and this is what I understand about music, and I want to share that with you today. So we're going to start with a couple things. First, I want to illustrate we are staring at a piano, but again, it doesn't matter what you're playing, and we're going to assume right off the bat that you know very little about music. We are going to use the key of C to demonstrate, just because the piano works really well for that. Just to start off with a little tiny bit of theory if you know absolutely nothing about music. There are 12 notes in a chromatic scale, and you don't need to know that, but I just want to illustrate that there are 12 notes here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And in a scale, we're only going to focus on 8 of those. So we'll just forget beyond this point, you can forget everything you know about music, because we're not going to focus on you know, what keys and what notes are in what scales or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to take a totally different approach to music today to help you understand it. So I am going to also, I wanted to do one more point here. I'll just go ahead and draw these out. F, G. The second point I wanted to illustrate was that we call these keys, the black ones on this piano, are sharps generally, and there's no E sharp and there's no B sharp. It's important to understand that in terms of music, so we'll just go ahead and get rid of those now. And I'm going to pull over my handy little chart that I've drawn up for you guys today to illustrate my next point. Now, ignore most of what's on this page right now. What I want to focus on is just matching this up to the piano, that in our chromatic scale, I want to demonstrate that each, in the scale between C and C, each note in between is an equal change in pitch. And we call this from this note here to this note here, we call this a half tone or a semitone, or from here to here or there to there. One little step. If this is on a fretted instrument, then this would be one fret. That's a semitone, regardless of where you are. And if we skip one and go from here to here or here to here, or we skip one in the middle, and we call that a whole tone. So, and that doesn't matter if you're on the piano and you go from here to here, or from here to here, or here to here, that's a semitone. And if we go from here to here, we skip that one in the middle, or we go from here to here, we skip that one in the middle, that's a whole tone. We just want to illustrate that because that will help us establish our next bit here, which is we're going to talk about the major scale. The major scale is composed of 8 notes, and what we're going to do is we're going to start here. We'll get to the numbers in a minute. We're going to start on any key on your piano or your instrument, and we're going to go a whole tone, or a whole step, and a half step, whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and another half step is going to put us back at the 1, or you can call it the 8 or the 1. It's an octave above the original place that we started at. This is the major scale, and we'll demonstrate that on the piano right now. I'll put that other C back there. We're going to start on this key. We're going to skip that guy in the middle and go a whole step. We're going to go a whole step and a half step, whole step, another whole step, and another half step is going to put us back here. So I'll just put this chart back and go ahead, pause the video right there if you want, and just say this a dozen times to yourself and get it memorized. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. This is very important because this is the major scale. whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And it doesn't matter where you start on this piano. We'll just get rid of these guys here, and we'll start on some key. This is an F here, so we'll start on the F sharp. We'll start on F sharp, and we'll go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's the F sharp major scale. So it doesn't matter where you are on any instrument. The major scale, you don't have to memorize, oh, there's this many sharps in this key or this many, whatever. This is it here, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And that'll move us on to our next point. We're moving along fairly quickly, so apologize if anybody has trouble keeping up. We're going to pick this. We just happen to be in the key of C. It doesn't matter that we're in C today. This could be anywhere, but we're going to start in C, and we're going to call this interval. We're not going to give these points in our scale names or notes or any of that. We're going to call them by their interval name. The first interval is the 1. A whole step from the first interval is going to take us to the 2. A whole step from the second interval is going to take us to the 3 interval. Half step to the 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the 1, so on. So just so you understand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 1 or the 8. We're going to call these intervals, and these are important. And I'll just go ahead and write them out here. Whole step to the 2, whole step to the 3, half step to the 4, whole step to the 5, whole step to the 6, whole step to the 7, half step to the 8 again. Now that we've got our intervals laid out, we're using C because this happens to use all the white keys, which is really nice. We're going to talk about a major chord. If you're learning an instrument that uses chords, something with strings, or you can play multiple notes like a piano, then you're learning chords. And some of the first chords you're learning, probably a major chord, which is one of the most important ones. Major chord is a triad. It's 3 notes. It's made up of the 1, the 3, and the 5. And it doesn't matter where you are on this piano or whatever instrument you're on. Again, if we're back in the F sharp again, 1, 3, 5 in F sharps. It doesn't matter where you are. It's just important to understand the 1 interval combined with the 3 and the 5 in what's called a triad makes a major chord. That's the important part. If we want to make a minor chord, we flat our third, which means we take our third and we move it down a half step or a semitone. So we end up with a 1, a flat 3, and a 5. Gets that sad sounding chord. Again, it doesn't matter where we are. 1, 3, 5 makes a major chord. 1, flat 3, 5 makes a minor chord. And this is important because if you've played music anywhere, if you're going out to jams or you're getting charts, I don't mean tablature, but you're getting charts as per the Nashville Number system or something, then you're going to want to understand how this works, because this is important for your chording, this is important for your soloing, your lead, when you're taking leads, this is important for harmonies, this is important for everything. Regardless of what key we're in, if we're on the 1 chord, we want to play, oh sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's step back a second. The next point that's important to understand is that for each one of these intervals in this scale in C, for each one of these, there is a corresponding chord. For each one of these intervals, there is a corresponding chord. For the 1 interval, if we're playing a 1 in C, we want to play a major chord. Playing a 2 in C, we want to play a minor chord. The 3 in C is a minor chord. The 4, in any, not just C, but the 4 chord is major. The 5 chord is major. 6 chord is minor. 7 chord is what they call diminish, which is flats the 5. They use a different symbol. And we're back at the 1, so this is a major again. So what this means is, if you're used to starting in C and you want to move to an F in the key of C, you move to your F, this is F here, and the 4, F is the 4 in C, so you would play major, F major. Now if you're playing in the key of C and you want to move to a G, you would play a G major. If if you're in the key of C and you want to move to a D, you wouldn't play a D major, you would play a D minor. This is the flat third in D. If you take your D, your 2, and you turn it just make pretend, you turn this into a 1 and you count out your whole half, you'll see that the third interval in 2, the major third interval in 2 is this note right here. This would make a D major chord right here. The flatted third is right here. And this is really interesting that the piano is laid out this way, because if I start on my 1 and I play this pattern, the 1, and I just play this all the way up, it naturally makes this pattern on the piano in the key of C. So start over. This is a major, major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and major 1 again. This is how all major key music works. So you're jamming with somebody in the key of C or whatever, and somebody calls out 6, you're going to jump to this is an A. You don't need to know that that's an A. You'll figure that over time. You need to know that my 6 is there, and I'm going to play 6. I'm going to play a minor 6. Or you're playing along, a rock song, or doesn't matter what it is, and all of a sudden you need to take a lead break, and you're going to start leading. They're going to move to the F. You want to play your lead in a major key, in a major scale, and then they move to the 6. Then you're going to move to the 6 and start playing in the 6 minor. That's how that works. You're composing music. Now there is one exception to this. And before that I'm going to sing you a little tiny tune. In C, that just to demonstrate. Here's a little song I wrote. Might want to learn it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. And I'm not a piano player, but that makes a 1 major, minor 2, major 4, and back to the 1 again. So memorize this. From the 1 to the 2, whole, half, whole, half, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Back to the major. And that's a really good start with where we are today. In the next video, we're going to jump into a little bit more advanced stuff. Feel free to watch it now or come back to it later if you want. We're going to talk a little bit about chord inversions. We're going to talk about the tricky 2 and exceptions for that. A little bit more about intervals and harmonized scales and stuff like that. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and see you at the next one.